Right, for today's yoga class, if you have a cream or oil for massaging out your hands and feet, have that ready. And if you don't have one, it's absolutely fine. If you've got a belt or a strap, a scarf, anything at all, have that handy. We may include it in today's session. I'll make it up as we go along, so I might forget about it, or I might decide it's not appropriate for whatever reason. But you can always, if you know that using the strap in a particular movement feels good for you, you can always add that in at any time. Before we get into the movement, let's bring ourselves into whatever a comfortable seated position looks like for us today. Now let's take an exhale, just release that breath, release any stale air, and then take a smooth and steady breath in. Ideally in through the nose if you can, but if for any reason that's not available to you, just breathe how you can, how you need to. And notice your posture. How are you sitting just now? Are you kind of slumped down? And if we are, can we start to bring some length into the spine? Can we wiggle the shoulders about to try and release any tension we're holding there? Can we lift the skull into position? So if you press in where the jaw and the neck meet, so that's a lymph point that we clear when we're doing lymph clearing. But just from that point, lifting the skull up, that helps get the length into the neck, lets the chin drop in and down. If you're comfortable with your eyes closed, let your eyes be closed. If you are not, then just let your gaze drop down to the floor. We're just trying to bring our awareness internally. How much effort is involved for you today in being able to sit upright? Through our practice, what we're hoping for is to have this effortless effort, where this just feels at ease, but our postural habits throughout the day can sometimes take that ease away. So we're noticing, where do we feel tight, where do we feel tense, what needs attention, what's happy in your body today. And when we're here, we can have a quick check-in with our minds. How is our internal chatter? Is it noisy? Is it quiet? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it positive? Is it negative? And we're not being judgmental about it. We're not being critical of it. We're observing what it is today with interest. And as we notice that, we notice how we're holding our posture, and we notice in our breath. As we bring the awareness back into the breath, follow the breath as it moves into the body, into the physical structure. And can we observe the movement that happens with the breath? So is your movement happening in the upper part of the chest? Is it happening in the mid-ribs? Is it happening in the lower ribs? Is it not really getting there at all? Sometimes it's useful to place your hands onto the lower ribs to help get the breath into that deeper space. If that's useful for you, then placing the hands onto the lower ribs. Just being smooth with that movement. Following the breath in, following the breath out. And then you can keep your hands there, or you can maybe move your hands up a little bit higher to the mid-ribs. Just feel the movement there, or lack of movement. And then maybe taking the hands up or the thumbs up in towards the armpit area, so that you're getting to touch into those upper ribs. And observing if and how much movement you have there. If the collarbones are locked up, that can restrict some of the movement in the ribs. So just that exploration, how much movement are we getting in this moment? And moving the hands away, so you can bring them back onto the lower ribs, or you can bring your hands onto your lap, whichever feels most comfortable for you. And still working with the breath, we're noticing other parts of the body. So the parts of your body that are in contact with the floor and any surfaces that you're sitting on. How is your weight distributed? Are you leaning more to one side than the other? Is that out of necessity or is it out of habit? Is there any part of your body that's getting a little bit uncomfortable that needs to be moved and adjusted so that you can sit in a more comfortable space? And as we go through today's practice, I want you to keep in mind this, is this nice for me? Is this comfortable for me? How can I make this more comfortable? How can I make this feel easier in my body? It's never about getting to an end posture. It's about that pathway in, that journey into the posture. Can we make it free and easy? The end of your next exhale, if your eyes are closed over, just slowly, gently start to flutter them open. Let them adapt back to the light in the room. And then start to have a look around your room and just seeing whatever it is you can see at as many different points in your room. And if you're noticing areas of your room that there's maybe some clutter, don't worry about that clutter, just observe that there's clutter, there's no judgment, there's no, oh, that needs to be tidied or cleaned. And obviously I'm speaking about my room as I look around because there's piles of stuff behind the camera that you can't see, and also piles of stuff on camera that you can't see. And then as you're doing this movement, can you start to think about the movement? So how does your neck feel as you're doing these turns? How does your spine feel? The chest, the shoulders, the rib cage, the hips, the feet. What are you feeling and where are you feeling it? Where feels easy and free to move, where feels a little bit stiff and maybe needs some attention through today's practice. And then when you're ready to, bring yourself back to the centre. If you want to adjust your position, please feel free. We're going to go into our hand massage. If you're using an oil or cream, getting that and putting a little drop on. And then rubbing the palms together. As you start to rub the palms together, consciously roll the shoulders back and down so that they don't sneak up to the ears. And then take the palm to the back of the hands. And then the palm to the back of the other hands. So just fully coating the hands, the wrists, and depending on your sleeves, maybe coming into the forearms a little bit if you have that space available. And then we're going to start to work our way up each finger and the space between each of the fingers. Observing any tenderness, any pain, any discomfort. So I know some of you have got arthritis in your hands. So the way you massage might be more gentle, especially if the hand that's doing the massage tires easily or is achy. I know some of you have broken wrists in the past, so noticing where, if there's scar tissue, if there's anything going on there. And I know some of you have a little bit of arthritis there, so how, I said arthritis already, didn't I? So notice how your joints feel. know some of us have memory issues. That would be me this morning. And if you wear jewellery, so if you wear rings and you've taken the rings off as you do this, notice how the rings have kind of implanted into the fingers. That's changed the shape of the fascia. And just those indentations, that little tension in the fascia. I spoke about this a little bit yesterday when we were doing fascia stretch. If you've got a bit of lettuce or a seed stuck in your teeth, that can cause disruption in your body. So even having your rings on and this little indentation of the fascia and that maybe tension in the fascia, that can then cause disruption elsewhere in the body. So it's interesting to notice, and maybe where you wear rings, try and stretch out and release tension around the fascia there. And when you work one hand, move over, work the other. And notice, is there any difference in any of the joints? When you're right-handed versus left-handed, aches and pains will present differently from side to side. And notice your breath. Have you been holding your breath as you've been focusing in on your hands? And if you have, can you let it go? And let it be steady, let it be smooth. If it's possible for you to link your fingers and then circle around at the wrist, if that doesn't feel comfortable, then maybe just circle the wrists independently. If you are linking the fingers, link them over to the other side and get in those wrist circles. And then give the hands a wee shake off. We will move to our feet, adjusting your position as required to access your feet. I like to have a pillow or a bolster under the hip, just so that your hip's not getting tense and taking some support in your posture while you're working into your feet. So if you're using a cream or oil, get a drop on. As you start to touch into your foot, notice the temperature, notice the textures of the skin. Are your feet feeling dry today? Are they feeling cold? Are they warm? What are you experiencing here? And come in around the ankle. So if you can slide your trouser leg up a wee bit, come in around the ankle bone, come in around the base of the ankle where your shin bone meets the foot. And as you're massaging into your foot with a bit more intention like we did with the hands, it might be that you use your knuckles to get in, or the heel of the hands, or the thumbs, or you might prefer to use tennis ball and roll your foot out if that is better, if that's easier on your hands, if your hands are feeling tender this morning. And as you start to massage into the different areas of your feet, observing the sensations, noticing where things feel tight, remembering to get into the top of the foot as well as the sole of the foot, getting in around that heel bone and the ankle bone. And when you're happy that you have massaged into your foot, we're going to go to each toe individually. So hold towards the ankle with one hand and then pull the toe long. And then can you circle the toe round in that knuckle joint, a couple of circles each way, and make your way across the toes. Just pulling along to get that length and circling rounds. And then taking your index finger and pressing down between the big toe and the second toe into the webbing, noticing how that feels. Now you might want to press for a couple of breaths from the sole of the foot and then do a couple of breaths from the top of the foot. Coming into that webbing on the different sides can feel very different. And as you're ready to, just work your way across each of the toes, or the spaces between the toes, I should say. And then once you've done them all, sliding the fingers in between the toes, go through and out a few times just to warm up all the spaces. And then if you can, getting the fingers in between the toes, to take hands with your foot, pulling that foot long, wringing the foot out, and keeping the fingers in between the toes, take the other hand away, and then circle around at the ankle. And then releasing the fingers. And we will move over to the other foot. So if you have a quick look at both your feet, the foot that you've just worked compared to the foot that you haven't worked yet. Mine looks a bit dead, the foot that hasn't been worked yet. So we're going to bring it back to life. So whatever you're using on your feet, and notice how this side feels. You might feel tension in different places on this side. As you are working across the feet, can you check you're not holding your breath? And remembering the top of the foot and around the ankle and around the heel. And then we're going to work each of those toes, so holding to the back of the foot, pulling the toe long, circling the toe round, working your way across the toes. And then with your index finger pressing down into the space between the toe. And again, come from the bottom for a couple of breaths, come from the top for a couple of breaths, and work your way across each one. And if one foot's tighter than the other, then maybe you spend a bit longer. Maybe you take note and think, we'll come back to this later on today, maybe to do a little bit more. Then can we slide the fingers in between the toes? Or you can always spend longer here in class right now. You don't have to move on if you're not ready to. Then can you take the fingers between the toes, pull the foot long, wring the foot out. And then starting to release the fingers. And hopefully that foot looks like it's come back to life. From here, let's come over onto our back. And have your knees bent, feet flat onto the floor. If your neck's feeling a bit tight and you want to have a pillow in at the back of the neck, please do pop that in. let's bring our feet slightly wider than the hips, and then let the knees rest against each other. So letting the lower back relax as much as possible. Have the hands away from the body with the palms faced up, allowing the chest to be open. We'll let the shoulder blades rest into the floor. And just taking our time to let our body arrange itself in this new position. And anytime you need to lift and relay anything, just lift and relay. Just getting your body as soft and as gentle and comfortable as you can. Notice if your chin's pointing up to the ceiling. If it is, can we drop it down? Thinking about that length in the back of the neck, and that's where a wee pillow in at the back of the head can help if your chin starts to float back up. Can we take note of the weight of the skull and the contact point of the skull and the floor? And then coming down through the rib cage, what parts of the rib cage, what parts of the spine are in contact with the floor? And then down into the pelvis, noticing the weight of the pelvis on the floor. And then in between those contact points, there are little spaces, and just be aware of those spaces. Like we did when we were sitting up, can we think about that breath coming into those deep lower lobes of the lungs? If it helps, place your hands onto the lower ribs, just to check that you are getting breath there. And then maybe move your hands slightly higher on the ribs. And just check that you're getting some movement there. And when we're lying on our back, the movement might feel different. It might feel more spacious. You might get more expanse out to the sides. And then maybe bringing the thumbs up towards the armpits. Just noticing those upper ribs and the movement that you may or may not be getting there. And then just letting the hands come back down to the sides with the palms faced up. Let's move the knees away from each other so that the feet are about hip width, maybe just slightly wider. Finding the soles of the feet, so the heels, the balls of the feet, the outside edge, that pinky toe side edge of the feet. And as we press the foot down, can we start to flatten the lower back into the floor? And then letting it release. And then can we do that again, flattening the lower back. So try and have the flattening happening from the feet pressing down rather than from really pulling the tummy muscles in. Just creating that little bit of a tuck in the tailbone. And then with the feet pressing down, can we bring just the pelvis off the floor? So pressing the feet down, just letting the pelvis be lifted off the floor so that the back of the spine is just relaxing out the back of the pelvis. If your legs start to cramp or the muscles start to feel like they're being overworked, can you adjust your foot position to find an easier place? Or you just have that pelvis lifted off the floor without a lot of effort. Use your breath as a good gauge. So you can get that slow and steady breath all the way in, all the way out. And then can you maybe peel up about an inch more? So you're maybe coming up 1 or 2 discs of the vertebra, maybe, but only if that's okay. And again, if you start to feel like the legs are overworking, bring yourself down, adjust the position of your feet, try it again. Trying to get this pressing of the feet down into the floor to activate what needs to be activated without overworking anything. Can we maybe bring another inch up, still keeping that tailbone tucked under? And then can we maybe come another inch up? So we're just lifting, peeling the spine away very slowly, maybe one or two discs and vertebrae at a time. Maybe up another inch. And we're not forcing anything. If you feel like you've already gone as high as feels okay for you, then that's where you stay. Don't keep going up if it doesn't feel right. Or if you start to push the hip bones up, you want to keep that pubic bone slightly higher than the hip bones. I'm just going to be on the upwards trajectory for another two or three breaths. So if you can go slightly higher, go slightly higher. But as I said, don't force it. Keep pressing the feet down into the floor. And then on your next exhale and breath, can you drop down one or two of the vertebrae? Can we check where the chin's at? Chin's pointing up to the ceiling. Can we drop it down? And then on the next exhale, can we drop down one or two discs? You're just trying to get the back of the body to melt back into the floor. And again, just one or two discs. So using that exhale and breath, and then we're pausing. On the next exhale and breath, one or two discs. Slowly, slowly down until the pelvis is back on the floor. And then letting the feet relax. Maybe letting the knees rest against each other again, and then taking note of your spine. Noticing the points of your spine that are in contact with the floor, noticing the spaces in between. That might have changed. You might feel more of your back in contact with the floor now. It might just feel a bit more at ease. From here, bring one knee towards the chest, put your hands into the back of the thigh. Bring the other knee up, put your hands into the back of the thigh, and just gently rock the weight from one side to the other, using your hands to just pull the thigh over and pull the thigh over. If your feet feel like they're flailing out, you might want to cross the ankles. And then we're going to keep one knee hugged in and let the other foot come down to the floor. And maybe moving your hands onto your kneecap and starting to move the thigh bone around. So looking to just gently stir the thigh bone round in the pelvic bowl. Moving it around, seeing where you can feel at ease with the movement. Where does it feel like it's gliding? Notice where it feels like it's clunky. You think about, why is that clunky? Is that coming from the groin? Is it coming from the outer hip? Is it coming from the butt cheek? Is it coming from the hamstrings? Is it coming from the abdomen? And then place that foot down on the floor and pick the other leg up, bring it in, and again, same thing on this side, we move that thigh around. Observing, does this side feel more clunky? Does it feel smoother? What is happening here? And then place that foot down onto the floor. We're going to slide one leg out and push the toes up towards the ceiling, so you're pressing through the heel, lengthening that leg away, and then slide that leg back in, and then slide the other leg out, and both pointed up to the ceiling, press through the heel, press that leg away, noticing whatever there is to notice here. Then you're going to get your belt or scarf or strap, whatever you have, and we will hook it around the ball of your foot, and then lengthen your leg out so that the leg is straight, but you're taking the weight of your leg into your strap. So you can hold your strap one end in each hand, or you can hold it both ends in one hand, or both ends in two hands, just whatever lets the leg relax into the strap. And very slowly, on your exhaling breath, you're just going to inch the leg up. As you're inching the leg up, think about the tailbone settling into the floor. Notice if your lower back is really flattening into the floor. If it is, can you let the lower back relax? Keep the pelvis in a more neutral position, so that as you're bringing the leg up, we're getting this release through the back of the leg. And if your leg starts to tremble, you take your foot back, use the exhaling breath, keep pushing the heel up towards the ceiling. And at anything you need to, you take it back. So moving in on the exhaling breath, heel pushing up to the ceiling. And it might be that you let the knee bend slightly and you push the heel up, and let the knee bend slightly and push the heel up, and let the knee bend, so that we're creating space in the joints, space in the leg. Never forcing anything. And if we come to that point where everything's trembling, we back away from it. When we're in that trembling, real strong effort, our body's in the fight and flight system, it's not going to be able to let go and relax. So we're trying to find parasympathetic, then the rest and digest part when we're in these movements, to really allow the body to move with more ease and more freedom, so that we can feel relaxed when we're doing it. We're looking for that effortless effort. And then we're going to take the strap into the hand of the same side. So I've got my left leg up and taking the strap into my left hand. I'm going to let my left elbow come down to the floor, and then I'm going to start to let my knee move out to the side. So as the knee's moving out to the side, as my leg is moving out to the side, sorry, my kneecap is still pointing towards my shoulder. I'm not rolling the knee out, I'm not rolling the knee in, keeping it here so that we're getting this lengthening through the inner thigh, through the groin, still pushing out through the heel. And same as when we were coming up into the hamstring stretch, if you start to feel trembling or the other hip is following over, can we send that hip back and move back out of the trembling and use the exhaling breath to release in. So this other knee, it's okay if it comes out to the side, but what we don't want is this opposite hip to lift up. Trying to keep the weight of the leg and the strap. And then gently bringing that up. And then we're going to take the strap over into the opposite hand. Start to cross the leg over the body, keeping the butt cheek down so that we're getting this release into the outer hip and the outer thigh. Not forcing it. And then we're going to, the bottom leg, let that slide down your mat, and then take this leg over, letting the butt lift. So we're now starting to take it into a twist with the opposite arm opened out. So slowly into this, using your exhale and breath. And then once the legs as far over as it's comfortable for you, gently bring it back up. Back up to the centre. We're going to bend that leg down, bring your other foot up, pop it into the strap, and then starting to straighten the leg out. And again, look for that space where you're taking the weight of the leg in your belt. And then as you're exhaling, kind of start to move the leg higher, pushing through the heel. And if it's bending the knee and exhaling up, then maybe doing that slight pedaling action. How does this side feel? Does it move with more ease than the other side? Does it move with less ease? What's happening at the pelvis? Have we flattened that lower back into the floor? If we have, can we let the lower back to have its natural curve? Remember, as soon as you find that your body's in that fight, it's in the tremble, it's pushing to try and get into a position, you back away from it. And then once this leg is as straight and as eased as it wants to be, and take longer here if you feel you need it. Take the strap into the hand on the same side, let that elbow come to the floor, and then start to move the leg out to the side, checking that you're not rolling the hip out, rolling the thigh out. Keep the knee pointing towards the armpit. And just taking the leg out. Again, notice this side of the pelvis, keep that anchored down. Doesn't matter if this knee slightly drops out to the side. As soon as you start to feel like you're in a fight here with the inner thigh, you bring the foot back up, and then you gently lower it back down. So always with the exhale and breath as you're moving out. And then when you're ready to start to bring that leg back up. And then taking the strap over into the other hand, keeping the pelvis on the floor as we take that crossover. Looking for that ease in the outer hip. Using the exhale and breath. So observing where you're meeting restrictions. then lengthening out that bottom leg and bringing the leg further over, opposite arm out so that it's anchoring down, letting the pelvis lift, coming into that twist in the waist. And then gently bringing that back up. And letting the bends, releasing the strap lock, open it to the side. Take the arms out wide. Take the feet wider than the hips, let the knees rest against each other. And just finding the weight at the back of the skull. So finding the contact point of the skull and the floor. If having your wrists in line with your shoulders makes the shoulders creep up to the ears, maybe you bring your hands a tiny bit lower. We just want the chest to be open, the shoulder blades to be dropped back. And I'm just going to roll the skull so that you're going, that ridge at the back of the head, you're just rocking from one side of the ridge to the other. So we're not getting the neck involved, just the weight of the skull, gently rocking from one side to the other. So we may be only moving about an inch each way. And then we're going to start to come into the neck slightly. So you're maybe rocking and letting the skull turn. And then it back to the centre and letting the skull turn. So just getting the upper vertebra of the neck involved. Small movement. You're turning your head from one side to the other. And then you'll be coming down a little bit further in the neck, so we'll get more of a turn. So as you're turning your head, you're kind of sliding on your hair. Noticing where you're maybe meeting restrictions, checking if the chin started to point up to the ceiling. If it has, we drop it back down. And then we're going to let the head settle in the centre. And then you're going to separate the knees to have your feet about shoulder width apart. And we're going to start to do that rocking and twisting from the bottom. So we're going to start just gently rocking from one side of the pelvis to the other. So letting the knees move. So the weight of the legs is helping pelvis slightly move. And then we're going to come up and include the lower, the lower waist. So as the knees go over, starting to let the lower waist twist, and back up and over to the other side. So just slowly, slowly making your way up the spine. We've done the pelvis, done the lower back, or maybe coming to the lower ribs. But if that feels too much, if that feels like the shoulders trying to lift already, then stay in the range where we're isolating the discs. We're trying to get them to move as individually as we can. So you go the pelvis through the waist to the lower ribs. And then the lower ribs to the waist to the pelvis as you come back to the floor, and then off to the other side, the pelvis, the lower back, the lower ribs. And then the lower ribs, the waist, the pelvis. Maybe coming up a little bit higher if that feels okay, but we still go pelvis, lower back, lower ribs, towards the mid ribs. And then coming back, mid-ribs, lower ribs, waist, pelvis. So that's staggered movement, gently unraveling. Things might sort of flick and pop. But notice if, as you start to get further up the spine, if you start to roll in an old habit in a quick way, moving up and then moving back down. And you might be heading towards those shoulder blades now, but there's no hurry. And it might be that you're still working pelvis and lower back. So just listening to your body. Finding those sticky points so that we can work them out. And it might be that you want to include the neck and head, but you've come from the tailbone through the waist, through the lower ribs, through the mid ribs, through the upper ribs. And maybe the head slides away from the knees. And then go the pelvis, the waist, the lower ribs, the mid ribs, the upper ribs. And the head comes back. Let's do that one more time over. So slowly, slowly. Pelvis, waist, lower ribs, mid ribs, upper ribs, then head. Pelvis, lower ribs. No, we start from the top. So head, upper ribs, mid ribs, lower ribs, waist, pelvis. And then when we've come back to the centre, let the knees rest against each other like we were right at the start of the floor movement. And notice your spine. Notice the contact points you have with the floor. Has that changed? Does anything feel easier? Does anything feel different? You're going to move into your relaxation now, into the final part, the yoga nidra. So if you want to get your bolsters, your blankets, your jumpers, whatever you need to make yourself cozy and comfy, pull them over yourself, get yourself tucked in, get yourself settled, and I will guide you through the rest of today's practice. And then I'll leave you here to take as long as you need. So allow yourself to get settled. Get yourself tucked in. Have a check-in from the crown of the head to the tips of the fingers, to the tips of the toes. If anything needs to be moved or adjusted, make the necessary movements and adjustments now. Bring your awareness into the breath and follow the natural flow of the breath as it moves in and out of the lung. And as you're settling in, I'm going to invite you to set an intention and setting a statement in I am and then putting on whatever it is you feel you need more of, you want to cultivate more of within your life. And it could be, I am calm, I am peaceful, I am confident, I am whatever it is, I am healthy. It's always the outcome is always there, it's not the process. And repeat that to yourself 3 times. And if nothing specific comes to mind, know that I am is a complete statement. Then going to take a trip around the body, allowing the mind to jump from one part to the next. Bring your awareness into your right hand, into the thumb, second finger, third, fourth, fifth, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, waist, hip, thigh, knee, calf muscle, ankle, heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, right toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take your awareness to the left hand and to the thumb, second finger, third, fourth, fifth, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, waist, hip, thigh, knee, calf muscle, ankle, heel, sole of the foot, top of the foot, left toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take your awareness to the back of the body and to the back of the head where it touches to the floor. Back of the head, right shoulder blades, left shoulder blades, the spine, right buttock, left buttock, back of the right thigh, back of the left thigh, back of the right calf, back of the left calf, the right heel, the left heel. And now to the top of the body, and starting at the top of the head. Top of the head, forehead, both sides of the head, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, eyebrow centre, right eyelid, left eyelid, right eye, left eye, right cheek, left cheek, right ear, left ear, right nostril, left nostril, upper lip, lower lip, chin, jaw, throat, right collarbone, left collarbone, right chest, left chest, middle of the chest, upper abdomen, lower abdomen, the navel, right groin, left groin, right thigh, left thigh, right kneecap, left kneecap, right shin, left shin, right ankle, left ankle, right toes, left toes, the whole of the right leg, the whole of the left leg, both legs together, the whole of the right arm, the whole of the left arm, both arms together, the whole of the front and back together, the whole of the head together, the whole body, the whole body, the whole body. Have full awareness of your body and the contact points it has with the floor. Have awareness of your breath and the gentle movements that occur within your body. Awareness of your body and awareness of your breath. Bring to mind that intention you set a few minutes ago and repeat it again in that same short positive statement, repeating it 3 times with maximum feeling, awareness, and certainty. Relax all efforts of awareness of your body, awareness of your breath. Start to become familiar with your surroundings and the position that your body is lying in on the floor. Start to listen for any sounds that you can hear. And I'm going to leave you here now to take your own time to come round. Only when you feel ready to do you start to introduce some movement into your fingers, into your toes, stretching your body out, hugging the knees in, coming to lie on your left side for a few rounds of breath, whatever it is that you need. And then when you feel ready to, you open your eyes and sit yourself up. And then today's practice will be complete. Thank you so much for joining me today.